Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. I'm going to start with this. Do you find yourself traveling to the US more than once or twice a year? Or do you do a lot of shopping online at US dollar stores? Come into your local RBC branch and talk to them about cross-border banking and how you can save. Now, here's the thing. Banks understand cross-border banking. The problem is it's not cheap, green, or fast. That's why they'll never be able to compete with XRP. U.S. consumers embrace digital banking. Now, most people use digital banking already. They have some sort of app where they can control their checking and savings account. I use one all the time. But I'm waiting until crypto can be utilized as my bank. Once that happens, I am done with the bank altogether. But they're trying to stay attractive to younger people. They want younger people coming and utilizing their banks. But younger people already understand crypto. They already understand there's better options out there, and new options open up every single day. U.S. to impose sanctions on China Development Bank after midterm elections. CDB acts as the biggest money laundering agency for CCP's kleptocrats, as well as plays the most important banking role in the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, we hear about sanctions all the time. I don't think China even cares about sanctions from the US anymore. Most of the other countries, they could care less also. We see it happening little by little. Less people care about the US dollar and the US's sanctions. Fed Chair Jerome Powell has made it clear we're not watching the US housing market normalize, we're watching it reset through a difficult correction. And he already wants that reset. He's mentioned it a few times. He even said he has a 5-point plan to reset the housing market. When that happens, anybody who bought a house at an all-time high, any type of equity that they have will be swallowed up and gone. The U.S. housing market is garbage, and the average U.S. consumer now spends 52% of their take-home pay on mortgage payments, almost double the recommended ratio of 28%. Even worse, 70% of people in the U.S. can't afford to buy a home in their state. Think about that. That's the state of the housing market right now. When I make these videos, I set up a timeline because I try to show you exactly what's coming step by step, leading us to XRP and on-demand liquidity. Builder confidence fell to 2012 levels in October, showing further evidence that the high mortgage rates and inflation are taking their toll on the housing market. But it's not only the mortgage rates and inflation, it's also the supply chain and the price of wood. Who wants to build when the price of wood is sky high at this moment? Everybody's waiting for that big correction. Then all of a sudden you'll see people building houses again. You'll see people buying houses at much better prices than where they're at right now. Energy costs are skyrocketing, and the Democrats' Green New Deal policies are making it worse. It's time to unleash U.S. energy independence to bring down these ridiculous prices. Now, here's the thing. If anyone agrees that Biden is actually doing a good job in the United States, most likely those people will be the slaves of the future. Because here's the truth. This guy is here for one purpose, to tear down everything. The financial system, the housing, the energy. He's here to tear it all down. If you can't see that yet, you're just blind to it. Because little by little, that's exactly what he's doing. And you could see through it all at this point. SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, is an emergency stockpile of petroleum maintained by the United States Department of Energy. Now it's at its lowest level since 1984. And think about that, okay? I believe he's tapping into that to keep the prices of gas down, leading to the midterms. Listen, every politician out there cares about one thing: elections, midterms, and presidential elections. And if it's an election year, they do whatever they can to appease the people. Once the election's over and the results are in, guess what? It's right back to normal. So whatever you think we're saving now, we're going to be paying for later. Dollar collapse. Watch how other countries go pull out their reserves since they're already collapsed from the world reserve currency, US dollar. Boom, makes the dollar collapse. That will trigger a liquidity crisis. It's going down, Charles. Hang on tight. And that's exactly where we're at. We're at the point of the dollar starting to fall. It hit some crazy high numbers. But as that DXY falls, crypto will start to take off. I don't think most understand what we're facing. This is a sovereign debt collapse. Doesn't seem like it now. That will morph into the greatest liquidity crisis in history. Nothing will be safe from the government, including US, muni, pension, etc., defaults. And that's where we're going. But as we get closer and closer to that, at some point, we will have some sort of major event that onslaughts the liquidity crisis. Once they usher that in, that's when XRP will truly take off. That's when we're going to see those high prices. I tell people all the time, don't buy a house now, especially if you're investing in crypto. Right now, the prices are still too high. Wait till that crash comes. You'll be able to buy 2 houses for the price of 1. Janet Yellen loses her shit and says not enough money coming back to the U.S. via OPEC oil, and there is a liquidity crisis in the U.S. Treasury. Think about that. There's not enough money coming back from OPEC oil. That means they can't print more money because we're in the petrodollar right now. Once we can't back that by anything else, that's it. And that's all that they're banking on is that oil. The Great Reset is when the Fed and Treasury combine forces with other central banks to inject ungodly amounts of liquidity. And that's what's going to happen when XRP is ushered in. I don't know, man. Look at history. You think this time is different and we're now in the midst of the Great Reset? Inflation equals liquidity, printing. Buying Bitcoin can still be a good idea, though. You don't need the dollar to implode for Bitcoin to do well. I believe the opposite of that. I believe what has to happen is the dollar needs to fall for Bitcoin to take off. If not, and the rest of the crypto market starts moving upward, then we're headed into a utility run. But if that dollar falls, Bitcoin will have one last time to shine. Bitcoin plummeting towards sub 18K levels on news that inflation rate has surged to 8.2%. Bitcoin was never an inflation hedge. That's just the bullshit the maxis made up to pump their bags. Bitcoin is 100% correlated to inflation and destined for a multi-year brutal bear market. And that's why the Bitcoin maxis are coming out of the woodwork now, flooding all over your XRP. They want you out. They don't want you to get rich while they're sitting there making nothing. All this time believing in that sacred Bitcoin, worshiping it. Bitcoin's going to be everything in the future. They're starting to realize Bitcoin had its day. A new day is dawning. A day of utility and use case and on-demand liquidity and cross-border payments. A new financial system ushering in. Everything pointing against Bitcoin. That's why the maxis are fudding you. Don't fall for it. Hold up. I don't typically reply, but I think it's important to understand that the XRP holders are not excited about CBDCs, but rather that the advent of them almost undoubtedly requires the on-demand liquidity function of Ripple. Excited to see the utility. And once they bring out that on-demand liquidity, it is going to, I'm telling you right now, it's hard to even put it in words. But when you look at your XRP bags and they're sitting at 7 digits, that's when you'll realize how important on-demand liquidity truly is and how much the world is going to need it very soon. When I make these videos, I set up a timeline. I'm showing you how everything is falling in place. Right now, times are still a little bit good because the midterms are coming. After the midterms, everything's going to start really falling apart. Pay attention, because at that point, at some point along the way, they're going to say, we're in a major liquidity crisis, a global liquidity crisis. And that's when they're going to all need XRP. That's when you get those high numbers. With that said, I'm going to wrap up today's video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you watching my videos. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.